What's up, Tru Heel Heat? Tru Heel Heat.
What's up?
Tru Heel Heat. All hands on me.
Hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3, back once again with another year-end list for 2022. This time, this is Tru Heel Heat's top 10 best tag teams of 2022. I am here with a great tag team partner. He is the tag team partner you see as one of the co-hosts on Blunt Impact on Thursdays on Twitch, on right here on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel every Tuesday on NX3 with Chris G and Romeo. This is Ness.
Tru Heels, what's the deal? Glad to be here with my good brother SP3, talking about the best tag teams of 2022.
Yes, what a year for tag team wrestling.
Yes.
Really kind of just spectacular tag team matches. This was the first year for our year-end awards on the Tru Heel Heat flagship podcast that we gave a tag team match of the year, because there were so many different answers to that question, whether it was in AEW, New Japan, Impact Wrestling, WWE, NXT. It didn't matter. There was a lot of great tag team wrestling all across the landscape, both for men and women, especially when you look at like places like a Stardom and, you know, in Mexico as well. Women's wrestling as well with the tag team is just as good as the men. So all across the board, tag team wrestling is at its highest that it's been in a very, very long time, coming out of 2022. So for the first time here, Tru Heel Heat, we get a top 10 best tag teams of the year. What is your thoughts on like tag team wrestling and the year overall for that type of genre in the professional wrestling business?
Well, I'm a huge tag team wrestling fan, of very much an advocate for it. You pretty much said it, exactly how I feel. A great year for tag team wrestling and a plethora of different companies. So it's like, I got what I wanted. You know, we can, say what we want about booking, but actual matches were phenomenal.
Indeed. So that gives us nicely into the start. We're going to start with the honorable mentions, but of course, we thank everyone for watching these end of year lists. This is all brought to you. We put the form out there and a lot of you contribute. You are part of the nominations. This is a list voted on by the fans, friends, and contributors here at the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. But this is what we voted on. This is not the list. We still want to hear your feedback, your opinions in the comments down below. We've been loving the interaction on our other end of year list. So bring it here for the tag teams of 2022. So let's talk about the honorable mentions here. Also, drop a thumbs up on the video, share with your friends, subscribe if you are new to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. But let's get into these honorable mentions for the best tag teams of 2022. You got Alpha Academy getting 4 points on 3 nominations. Ness, Alpha Academy, of course, came into 2022 in a feud with RK Bro over the Raw Tag Team Championships, eventually defeating them for the Raw Tag Team titles before RK Bro won them back on an episode of Raw in a tremendous TV matchup against Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and RK Bro. They went on and they just been consistently used the rest of the year. They've had good tag team matches, whether it be against the light or singles matches against the likes of like Matt Riddle, AJ Styles, the OC, the Street Profits. They've just been consistently used, and I think that's the reason why we had those 3 nominations. Get them high enough here with 4 points onto the honorable mentions.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Like, I don't watch, Monday Night Raw or SmackDown like that, but I know that the two of them together are actually very good wrestlers. And then, like, my thing was always just how they're going to get used, how to get utilized. But I'm not mad at, that's a very honorable mention. They were tag team champions of the year. Tag team champions, obviously, this year. So I'm not mad at that at all. That's an honorable mention. Now, anybody after this, let's see where we go up because we got to start somewhere and then move up.
Gotta move. We gotta start somewhere for sure. But
Yeah.
I've been liking the Chad Gable character. I think he's very underrated. The shush,
Yeah.
please. It's gotten over. He's getting merch sales. I'm all for Chad Gable being successful. Then you got the New Day also on the honorable mentions, also with 4 points on 2 nominations. New Day came into the year feuding with the Usos. They came up short in their bid for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Then they got into the whole feud with the Brawling Brutes, which unfortunately led to Big E's injury in March. They went on to lose to the Brawling Brutes at WrestleMania 38, which is underrated as one of the worst booking decisions in WWE. You had Big E and they came out in Big E gear at WrestleMania and then lost in like 2 minutes. But then the rest of the year, they just kind of just were consistently there. They would show up here and there. And then towards the end of the year, they picked back up on the focus. They had the great match with the Usos that decided who was the longest reigning tag team champions. And then they beat the Pretty Deadly at NXT Deadline to win the NXT Tag Team Championship. So 2 nominations, 4 points. I think it might be based on like recency bias of the last few months of the year.
I'm trying to remember if I voted for New Day, but I'm actually surprised they're an honorable mention. Once again, didn't see a lot of their main roster run because I wasn't watching their WWE like that till recently.
Fair.
But they're on NXT. They're the current NXT Tag Team Champions. That's why I figure that they get more votes. But guess what? Nobody watches NXT, so that's probably why they are the honorable mention. That's probably why
Segues
they're there to get the eyes on NXT. People love the New Day. They're going to watch the New Day. So yeah.
segues nicely into our other honorable mention with 5 points, 1 point higher than the New Day with 2 nominations. Pretty Deadly. Pretty Deadly. I believe this year they were involved in the NXT UK title scene. They were the tag team champions at the beginning of the year. They lost the NXT UK tag team titles, eventually showed up on NXT very quickly, winning the NXT tag team championships. Had a nice little rivalry with the Creed brothers who won the NXT tag team titles from Pretty Deadly. And then during the unification match at Worlds Collide, it was Pretty Deadly that capitalized on Damon Kemp betraying the Creed brothers to win back the NXT tag team titles and unify them with the NXT UK tag team titles. They had the great match with the New Day at Deadline. I think that Pretty Deadly is like the tag team that in NXT that most is like, when are you going to call them up? Because they just fit like a glove on the main roster. They have the look. They have a great act. They're good on the mic. They got established characters. Pretty Deadly are just a ready-made main roster act.
Yeah, Pretty Deadly, what we call them on NX3, is the metrosexual Hardy Boys. So it
Wow.
works. It works. I wasn't privy to them at first, but they can work. Character wise, I can overlook it at times, but they're good wrestlers. So they had a nice run.
And then we got 1 point higher than Pretty Deadly. One tag team I know you're not familiar with, so I'll just let you know about them. It's called Melatier, which is Tam Nakano and Natsupoi from Stardom. They were the Goddess of Stardom tag team champions until just before we recorded this video here at Stardom Dream Queendom. They lost those titles, but they did win basically a tournament to get the shot at the championships. They won the titles, but really like their whole story of becoming a tag team was very fascinating. Natsupoi was kind of like a pet and a lower tier member of Donna Del Moto. She was kind of the pet of Julia for a long time, but she was always kind of viewed as this fairy and a very nice girl that was being manipulated by the badasses of Stardom. And then Tam Nakano is like she's the cutest on the cosmos. She's the leader of the Cosmic Angels. She's one of the top babyface of Stardom. And Natsupoi wanted to make her name off of Tam Nakano. She lost to Tam Nakano and then basically tried to blame her bad attitude on Tam, became obsessed with her after Tam lost the Wonder of Stardom Championship. She challenged her, she lost. Then she finally was able to beat her. They had a tremendous steel cage match earlier this year, and then they eventually had a deciding match between their two stables. And in that match, Natsupoi decided that she wanted to be successful, and her whole grudge against Tam was basically because she really wanted to be her partner and wanted to get to success with her. So she betrayed her stable and joined Tam, and that's how they became a tag team. It's basically like a fucking anime. Oh, that's all the
Yeah.
stories in Stardom. Shouts out to Meek Cat Ultra, who made me realize that all the stories in Stardom are animes. They fight and they become friends. That's the
Yeah.
story.
I watch a lot of anime, and that's exactly I'm on One Piece. It's that's what's happened. Like 3 guys that he just fought, they're helping him save his brother. That's exactly what's going on. Exactly what's going on right now. That's
And
crazy.
then finally, to end off the honorable mentions, we have the Lucha Bros with 6 points, 2 nominations,
yeah.
2/3 of the AEW World Trios champions. I think if next year we decide we're gonna allow trios into this, then Death
Yeah.
Triangle would definitely be up this list, like they were on the PWI Tag Team 150. They accepted trios, and Death Triangle was number 3. I think if this was a trio, they'd be much higher. But as a tag team, the Lucha Bros were able to have plenty of great matches. They had a 5-star match with the Young Bucks in June, but a lot of their year was cut short due to Rey Fenix being injured on the first Dynamite on TBS on January 5th. He was out for a number of months before Double or Nothing, when he came back teaming up with Pac and Penta in another great trios matchup with Death Triangle, had the 5-star classic with the United Empire in the AEW World Trios Championship tournament, had some really good matches with like Roosh and Andrade this year as well. But like really their focus has been on the trios more than tag.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah. That's another one I can't even be mad at because it makes sense. Again, another tag team that I voted for, but I forgot it was more trios work for them this year with Pac. So I get it. I really can't be mad at that because they were focused on their trios this year. I fucked up on that. That was my bad.
It's okay. It's okay. You wanted them. You tried to will them into contention here. It's totally fine.
Almost.
It's
Yeah,
totally fine.
almost.
You were close. You were close, but no cigar. Let's get into the top 10 though. And of course, if you believe any of those honorable mentions deserve to make our list, let us know in the comments. We love to hear the feedback. Let us know what you think. But let's get into this top 10 here. Ness, coming in at number 10 with 7 points on 2 nominations. So the 2 nominations, they were very highly rated here, but only 2 nominations nonetheless, 7 points. We got the current Impact World Tag Team Champions, the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. Of course, these 2 men reunited in 2022. They were able to win the NJPW Strong Tag Team Championships, beating Aussie Open in a triple threat match in New York City in October. They then followed that up, winning the Impact World Tag Team titles from Heath and Rhino in December. Throughout the year, they had plenty of great matches in Impact Wrestling, whether it be against Chris Bay and Ace Austin, or the Good Brothers, or Aussie Open. These guys have always delivered. They just been the consistent cog, and I'm glad that Impact decided to put the tag team titles back on them, because it's a criminal that this is one of the greatest tag teams in Impact Wrestling history, and this is only their 3rd reign. But what do you think about Motor City Machine Guns making our list here at number 10?
Yeah, I was expecting to see them somewhere on this list, to be honest. Didn't know how high, didn't know how low, but I'm glad that they're on there regardless. They had a great year, once again, having bangers and impact, because every company is having this great tag team action going on, especially on Impact, but you can catch it on Blunt Impact every Thursday on Twitch. But yeah, cheap plug, just cheap plug. Nah, but yeah, man, I was glad to see Alex Shelley come back to Impact. They teamed up again. Um, Even when like they had an incredible singles match, so Alex Shelley get a shot at the Impact World Championship. Like even that was great. Like these guys have the best chemistry, and they're fucking legend. They're legendary. So it was nice to see them get their just due. Two tag team champions in two different companies. So they're on and up. Like it's great. It's great to see it.
Ending off the year very strong for a legendary tag team like the Guns. You love to see it. So let's get into number 9, Ness, coming in at number 9 with 8 points on 2 nominations. So these 2 nominations were very high on this tag team. Coming in at number 9, we got the former Raw Tag Team Champions, Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. RK Bro came into the year as the Raw Tag Team Champions. They had a very nice feud on Monday Night Raw with Alpha Academy. They lost the Raw Tag Team titles to them, then won them back in the aforementioned triple threat with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. They then went on and had a banger of an opener at WrestleMania 38. Then that led into their good rivalry with the Usos over unifying the tag team titles. But of course, in May, that's when the Bloodline takes out Randy Orton. Randy Orton has the back injury and he's off television for the rest of the year. So on 5 months, we got RK Bro making our list here at number 9. Do you think their 5-month stretch should be enough to be on this list here?
Now, once again, I don't watch a lot of Monday Night Raw, or I wasn't watching a lot of Monday Night Raw. But I do know that RK Bro was a staple for Monday Night Raw. Like there's no denying that whatsoever. So with the only 5 months, number 9 is perfect for them, honestly. Like I know they had like some great matches. I know a lot of the booking was stupid. So a mix of that and it only being 5 months, and even it's still over. It's still over. Even though whatever's going on with Matt Riddle, Randy Orton get well soon. Yeah, 9's great for him.
That is fair. That is a fair assessment. I honestly, just based on the story alone, I would have had Meltier in this over them, because that story to them building up to them becoming a tag team, this anime gold. I'm sorry, they should have made the list. If in retrospect, I should have voted for Natsupoi and Tam Nakano. I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I did us all wrong. Coming in at number 8, Ness, on 4 nominations, 10 points, including 1 first place vote. You got the former Raw and SmackDown and NXT tag team champions, the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. These 2 men came into the year kind of like it seemed like they were getting built up for a big tag team showdown with RK Bro that eventually got made into a triple threat due to the success of Alpha Academy getting over as a heel tag team on Monday Night Raw. That had a great opener on WrestleMania 38 Night 2. And then they've just been consistently on Raw having good to great matches. But of course, we gotta mention their match of the year candidate with the Usos at Money in the Bank, one of the best tag team matches WWE has put on in quite some time on the main roster, where Montez Ford and especially Angelo Dawkins felt like they went to a next level. They've already like had their coming out parties, already kind of very accomplished as a tag team on WWE. But that match right there, that's something that they can hold their career on. And that alone, honestly, I feel it's right that they're at number 8. What do you think?
Yeah, I could agree with number 8. I know that we've talked about Angelo Dawkins probably being most improved wrestler this year, and Montez Ford's already a star. He's just doing the tag team thing right now. Like I don't want to be that guy. Like break them up, whatever. But it kind of seems like, Montez is going to be the one. So
It's like eventually, it's only a matter of time, folks. We
yeah,
all know what's gonna happen here. Uh,
Angela Dawkins is going through that barbershop window.
but no, I think Ford is gonna be the one that goes through the barbershop window. I think Dawkins turns on Ford. That's my prediction. Because he's the big guy. It only makes sense. Get the sympathy on Ford. Ford don't have to do the
We'll
barbershop
big book
spot.
it.
Yeah, exactly. We're big booking here. Let's move on to number 7, Ness, coming in with 14 points, including 1 first place nomination out of their 6 nominations in total. Former AEW World Tag Team Champions Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. These two men did not even come into the year as tag team partners, did not even come into the year as AEW stars. But Keith Lee came into AEW in February. Swerve Strickland debuted for All Elite Wrestling at Revolution. And then through a feud with Team Taz's, Ricky Starks, and Powerhouse Hobbs, they created Swerve in Our Glory. They had an excellent tag team match with Team Taz in New Orleans, I believe in February, that parlayed, got all 4 men over enough for Tony Khan to decide, I'm going to throw all 4 of these guys into a triple threat with Jurassic Express at Double or Nothing that delivered another great matchup. And then they just got over, and they always seem to have this kind of unsettling partnership and alliance, which kind of got emphasized after Double or Nothing when in LA on the June 1st episode of Dynamite, they said that they are the Shaq and Kobe of AEW. And then all of their matches ever since would include some spot where they had miscommunication, hit each other, couldn't get along, but still 1 month later, they won the AEW World Tag Team Championships from the Young Bucks in a triple threat with Team Taz at Fyter Fest. One of the best matches that doesn't get talked about enough from Dynamite of 2022. Had a really good AEW World Tag Team title reign, which I think is going to be viewed in retrospect as even greater because it got over a new act in the Acclaimed after their great match at All Out, eventually losing the titles to the Acclaim at Grand Slam, having the rematch at Full Gear where they had a temporary split, and then eventually the full split came at Final Battle when Swerve walked out on Keith Lee, despite them getting the win over Shane Taylor Promotions. And then the official split came courtesy of Rick Ross calling Keith Lee a fat motherfucker, and then Swerve stomping him after the henchman of Bane from Dark Knight Rises helped Swerve put down the big man. What a story for Swerve in Our Glory in 2022. What's going to be your biggest memories from this tag team?
Them breaking up. And I don't mean that like in a bad way, trying to be like snarky and shit, but I mean, because like, all right, I'm not really a huge fan of makeshift tag teams. With that being said, they had a great fucking year as a makeshift tag team. And I'm a big fan of both these guys as single wrestlers. So I tolerated the fact that they were going to be tag team. Because if they're both good by themselves, they can be great together. And that's what I got. So I wasn't mad at the act at all. But like you said, the Shaq and Kobe, I was waiting for that breakup. Like I was waiting for that split when it was going to happen. And I knew it was clearly it was always going to be Swerve. He was the slime ball of the two out of the two, So I'm just waiting for Randall to cross over Sully, and it was going to be over. This is going to be all over, and that's what I'm getting right now. You brought in, what's the Spider dude's name? That's Rick Ross. This whole thing is Monsters Inc.
I love it. I love how you're naming everybody Monsters Inc. characters in all this. Oh man, that's great. But yeah, I've enjoyed Swerve in Our Glory. I would say Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega is the greatest makeshift tag team in AEW history. But Swerve in Our Glory is a close number 2.
I agree with that.
Let's move on to number 6, Ness, coming in with 22 points. No first place votes, despite Swerve in Our Glory and the Street Profits getting first place vote. This comes in with 22 points on 10 nominations. We got Aussie Open. Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis had the best year of their career, whether it be as a tag team, some singles competition, some trios competition. They came into the year, with Rev Pro having great matches. Then eventually they made their official debut with New Japan Pro Wrestling in the spring for their US shows for Strong, eventually winning the New Japan Strong Tag Team Championships. And then they started showing up for more US shows and made the challenge to FTR, which eventually led to the 5-star matchup in the UK at Royal Quest 2 with FTR over the IWGP World Tag Team Championships. They were kind of the MVPs of NJPW's World Tag League 2022. They had great matches also in Impact Wrestling, GCW. I saw them live in Chicago. Aussie Open was all over the place. I'm so glad that they made our list here because they definitely were in my top 5. What about you, Ness? What did you think about their 2022?
Yeah, I actually can't even put it any better than what you just said right there, especially catching them in many different promotions, being a part of one of the most popular stables right now, coming out of New Japan and the United Empire. If you co-signed by Will Ospreay, then you're good. Like, you're good.
You are good at this game. Yeah, the United Empire, I think they really added to it. They had a tag team in Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan who could be in the heavyweight division, but they feel like the proper tag team for the United Empire.
Yeah.
So I love their addition. I love them showing up in New Japan. Hopefully we see them even more in 2022 and eventually becoming the IWGP World Tag Team Champions. They've beaten the winners of the World Tag League, Bishamon, who I think are going to win those titles at Wrestle Kingdom. So hopefully they're the next in line after them. Let's move on next to number 5. Coming in at number 5 with 34 points on 11 nominations. You got the Briscoes. Mark and Jay, the Briscoes. And when you talk about tag teams that were everywhere, you talk about the Briscoes. Following the hiatus of Ring of Honor at the end of 2021, the Briscoes showed up in GCW and they kicked off the year defending the GCW World Tag Team titles at Hammerstein Ballroom in the main event of the World on GCW, losing to Nick Gage and Matt Tremont. They then went on to regain the GCW World Tag Team titles during WrestleMania weekend. Oh, that WrestleMania weekend where they had a 5-star classic with FTR, the first time ever match for the ROH World Tag Team Championships, where they lost the titles in Dallas, Texas. They had a match with the Good Brothers that weekend as well. They were all over WrestleMania weekend. They show up in Impact Wrestling and they win the Impact World Tag Team Championships from Violent by Design. They went on to lose those titles to the Good Brothers later on that year. They lost the GCW World Tag Team titles later in the year to Bussy, putting them over in GCW. And then their ROH run, despite only 3 shows for ROH, they delivered the 3 best matches and probably the 3 best tag team matches of the year with FTR, a trilogy that will be remembered for years to come. I'm glad the Briscoes are here in our top 5. What do you think, Ness?
Legendary duo right there. Like, they have been everywhere and they were everywhere this year, collecting championships in pretty much every promotion they were in, having bangers with every promotion they were in. Like, personally, I got to see Impact. They had a great feud with the Good Brothers. One of my favorite feuds, or my favorite segments from Impact all year was the fight or the brawl on the chicken farm.
Yes.
Like that, yeah. That shit was great. It was wild, and then like it was just as wild as their matches. And again, like you said, probably some of the best, if not top five, like best matches, tag team matches of the year. You know, FTR with other teams as well. So number five, top five, yeah, top five dead or alive for the Briscoes.
Yeah, it's something because the Briscoes got no first place votes, but it seems like out of the 11 nominations, everybody voted them very highly, and they weren't really with a promotion for the full year. They just popped up everywhere, and
Yeah,
then I like that for the Briscoes. And you can say the same thing with Aussie Open at number 6 as well. But let's move on to number 4. Just 5 points up from the Briscoes, coming in with 39 points on 14 nominations, including 2 first place knobs. You got the former AEW World Tag Team Champions, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks came into this year looking to regain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. They came up short at Revolution in a terrific triple threat matchup with Jurassic Express and Red Dragon, but they kept chasing it. They got involved in a dream tag team rivalry with the Hardys, which I've heard people very polarizing opinions about their matchup at Double or Nothing. I liked it, but some people didn't, depending on how you feel about Jeff Hardy and the condition he was in. But nonetheless, that led into their great ladder match on AEW Dynamite at Road Rager, where they did finally regain the AEW World Tag Team titles by defeating the Jurassic Express in a ladder match to become the first ever 2-time AEW World Tag Team Champions. But they soon lost the titles right after that, just a couple of weeks later, to Swerve in Our Glory in the aforementioned excellent triple threat at Fyter Fest Night 1 with Team Taz. And then from there, they really focused on the trios division. They tried to rebuild their relationship with Hangman Adam Page. They were betrayed by Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. They eventually reunited with Kenny Omega when he returned, and they were running wild in the trios division, including in this best of 7. So a lot of their great matches at the end of the year were all trios based, not really tag team based. But nonetheless, I would say, based on what they were accomplished before Kenny Omega returned, they deserve to be on our list here. I didn't even mention the 5-star matchup with the Lucha Bros in June in California on the June 3rd episode of Rampage. One of the best matches they've ever had on Rampage. What do you think about the Young Bucks here? Coming in at number 4 after last year and the year before being Tru Heel Heat's best tag team of the year.
No, you pretty much mentioned it. When they came back, or when Kenny came back, they focused more on the trios division. Is like same thing come with Lucha Bros and Pac with Death Triangle. So
Yeah.
but they had a better run as a tag team before that, and plus then it was the complications from Brawl Out. So they were out for like 2 months almost. So I mean, I think that plays into it too, because like there was a lot of other matches that were happening, around that time that those guys were missing out on. So they're my favorite tag team of all time, me personally. But I feel like this is a great spot for them. Like it was either 4 or 3 for me, and I'm glad it's like 4. As long as they're top 5, I'm cool with that.
Top 5 dead or alive. That's what they are all time, in my opinion. I'm right there with you. They're one of my favorite tag teams of all time. They've accomplished so much. So it's okay if they had a little bit of a down year. They had to deal with a lot.
Can't be number 1 all the time.
And you can't be number 1 when you deal with Brawl Out and you're suspended for 2 months. So, yeah. So the number 4 is not too shabby, we must say. But that moves us into the top 3. And coming in at number 3, Ness, we got another AEW tag team coming in way up. We had the Young Bucks at 39 points. This tag team coming in with 55 points on 15 nominations, including 3 first place votes. Everyone loves the Acclaimed, Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, the Acclaim. When you talk about meteoric rises or tag teams that kind of shot up the ranks the most in 2022, the top of the list will always and should always include the Acclaim. They kind of just came out of nowhere. They were slowly building popularity coming into 2022. They had kind of like pre-show spots where they would do Max Caster would come out and rap on like the Double or Nothing or Revolution pre-show, and they would get bigger and bigger pops every single time. They started aligning with the Guns and Billy Gunn, and that even brought their popularity even more, especially when Anthony Bowens got injured and he started doing the scissor me daddy ass. That was a big spot for them at Forbidden Door, where they defeated the New Japan LA Dojo boys. And then it came into the summer when eventually the Guns split from the Acclaim. They had a nice series of matches with each other, including the Acclaim defeating them in a dumpster match. And then Billy decided to align with his Black Sons, and they became one of the most popular tag teams in the business, ahead of All Out, where all their popularity, it came to the surface in Chicago, where they had a show-stealing match with Swerve and Our Glory, just coming up short of winning the AEW World Tag Team titles, going on to defeat Swerve and Our Glory at Grand Slam in their home state of New York, in Queens, New York, at the Arthur Ashe Stadium, then defeating Swerve and Our Glory at Full Gear. They had another excellent matchup on Dynamite with FTR on the December 7th edition of Dynamite. They're in a feud now with Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Satam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt. So however you feel about that is up to you. But we ended off the year with another Acclaim. Great rap. The bars he had against Jeff Jarrett were brutal. Those he deserves to be canceled for some of these No, but
I gotta check. I missed it. I missed this week's episode. I gotta check that out.
so whether it be as characters, whether it be on the mic, whether it be drawing, they're one of the top merch sellers for AEW. And then they had all the great matches, like I said, Swerve and Our Glory, FTR, even some good matches with the Guns. The Acclaim, man, what a year 2022.
Yeah, it's their year. I mean, like they're not, number one, but like those guys became stars. But it's not overnight because you like seen the characters, but like they just found something and it took off. Like they're pretty fucking popular. This time last year, they might have had some buzz, but like this year they just blew the fuck up. And then they backed it up in the ring too, So shout out to the Acclaim. Everybody loves the Acclaim.
Everybody loves Scissor Me. Scissor Me. Yeah. You guys out into YouTube land. Scissor Me. Absolutely. Everyone loves the Acclaim. I think if it wasn't for the astronomical years that 1 and 2 had, the Acclaim would be number one. Like yeah. I think that these one and two is clear as day who it is. They just had just these ginormous years, but any other year, the Acclaim probably would have been tag team of the
year. Yeah, I agree with that.
Let's move on to number 2. Coming in at number 2 on 20 nominations out of our 30 total nominations, including 7 first place votes. So way ahead of the Acclaim, who set the bar at 3 first place votes. They had 7 first place votes, 77 points overall. You got Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. They came into this year as SmackDown Tag Team Champions, defeating the New Day at day 1 in a great match, the match of the night at that event. They then went on. They had I don't know what they were doing between then and WrestleMania, but WrestleMania, they had a match with Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura, where Rick Boogs got injured, lifting both men on
Yeah.
his shoulders. That did not work out well. But then the rest of the year, it went up from there. After WrestleMania, they get involved. Sami Zayn gets involved with the Bloodline. You start that whole thing. At the same time, they had the great match with RK Bro, where they unified the SmackDown and Raw Tag Team Champions, becoming the first undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, according to WWE. We know there's been others, but yeah, still fair enough. First, and then eventually, they defeated. They had the great match with Street Profits at Money in the Bank that we talked about earlier. One of the best matches in WWE of 2022. They beat the Street Profits again at SummerSlam. They beat the Brawling Brutes at Clash at Crown Jewel. They then beat the New Day to become the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions on the November 11th episode of SmackDown. Just good to great matches up and down the year. Undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. A lot of times, a lot of conversation on social media always becomes of the fans that are pro Young Bucks or anti Usos, or then you got the WWE fans that are pro New Day and anti Usos. But Usos, I think they had a legacy building year in 2022. What do you think is going to be remembered the most from this last 12 months for Jimmy and Jay?
Being a part of the hottest story in professional wrestling right now, being part of the Bloodline, and they play their role, and when things are going good, they're on top. Well, they've been on top the whole year for the most part. But when the whole ball's rolling, it's great content. When there's friction, even better content. Like when somebody's fucking up, you're going to get a good story out of that, and then it's just going to have great matches on top of that. Like they just pretty much bullied 2022. The Usos, I'm actually pro Young Bucks and pro Usos. Those are two of my favorite tag teams of all time. So I can't hate on any of that. But they ran WWE tag team division. Like, what are you expecting? I expected them to be at least, top three. I know who number one is. There was no doubt about that. There was no doubt about that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I think it's a closer race, and I know there's going to be some outlets. I know ESPN voted the Usos as their tag team of the year. There's going to be some outlets that are put up there because the
Oh, yeah.
Usos did not have a bad match this year. I will give them that. They did become the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. They did become the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions in the company's history, and that's 70 years of fucking history. And they're the longest reigning Tag Team Champions over 500 days, holding tag team gold straight. So they had that like dominant feel, and they've been a part of the best storyline in wrestling this year. And a lot of that matters. And I think the team that came in at number one, that's the one kind of thing against them, that they didn't have that one storyline this year and didn't get that type of focus that the Usos got in WWE. And I always say that tag team of the year, best wrestler of the year, it's an ever fluctuating conversation. And I think that they could be stronger arguments in 2023 if the Usos can continue this run, or if they can pay off all the Sami Zayn stuff with a tremendous match against Zayn and Owens at WrestleMania. I think they're going to even be maybe at the same spot or even at that number one spot in 2023.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But of course, they are not at number one in 2022. That brings us to our number one, Ness. Coming in at number one, you want to hear these numbers? 25 out of 30 nominations, 15 first place votes. Yes, 15. And I repeat, 15. The Usos had 7. So they not only doubled what the Usos did, they had one more than doubled with 101 points, the most points of pretty much anything that we have done as these year-end lists. It is FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler. They came into this year as AAA World Tag Team Champions. They had a great match in February on Dynamite against Jon Moxley and CM Punk as part of the Punk and MJF feud. They then went into the rivalry, basically teaming up, had the great match with Dax and CM Punk, the great match with each other in the Owen Hart Cup in April, I believe that match happened. And then Dax was in the Owen Hart Cup in May, had a great match with Adam Cole. Then after Double or Nothing, the two men eventually win the IWGP World Tag Team Champions, adding to their collection. That was after they defeated the Briscoes at Supercard of Honor in April in Dallas in that 5-star rated matchup. They were Triple Crown champions coming out of Forbidden Door, and then parlayed that into another classic match with the Briscoes at Death Before Dishonor in the 2 out of 3 Falls match. In October, they had a 5-star match with Aussie Open that we talked about earlier for the IWGP Tag Team titles. And then they close off the year with 1 week of them having a great match with the Acclaimed for the AEW World Tag Team titles. And then in that same week, having a 5.5-star rated double dog collar bloody fucking spectacle at Final Battle with the Briscoes, Mark and Jay, ending their trilogy of all 5-star matches. 5 stars at Supercard of Honor, 5 stars at Death Before Dishonor, 5.5 at Final Battle, 5 stars against Aussie Open. Oh, I didn't even mention their ROH AAA Tag Team title match with the Young Bucks in April on April 6th episode of AEW Dynamite. That got 4 3/4 stars. What a fucking year for Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. I vaguely mentioned Dax Harwood's year of singles matches with a couple of matches in the beginning of the year. He also, not for mention, versed Claudio Castagnoli for the ROH World Championship. He versed Bryan Danielson in December. This year for FTR, it's like when it comes to pure wrestling, if you love wrestling, they delivered and gave to us fans.
And when their contract is up, they deserve that rest. It's apparently or allegedly coming up in the spring. Get that rest because you gave us a hell of a year this year. There's no doubt in my mind that they were going to be the number 1 pick. They were my number 1 pick. Like 100, it was 100. They got 101 points.
101 points, 15 first place votes out of their 25 nominations. And that's 25 nominations out of the 30 nominations we received.
So they already had it in the bag. Like just off that, number 1, that's it. No, man, yeah, they had great matches in AEW, New Japan, just all over, man. Like it was no brainer. Like I really can't even say any double dog collar match. Fucking wow. Dax trying to wrap the chain around. Why are you doing that? I'm like, oh, but I couldn't look away. I had to see it. Then he did that shit. I'm like, wow, this nigga's tripping. But yeah, he did it for my entertainment, and I greatly appreciate it.
Can't wait for if they do decide, to take their break after their contract expires. You can expect me. I will do a list of the best FTR matches. That's gonna be a list based on 2022 might have like 4 or 5 of the matches on the list, but yeah, man, what a year for these guys. They accomplished so much, and I gotta hand it to AEW that in retrospect, it probably was the right move not giving them the AEW World Tag Team titles because they were able to get over the Acclaim. So they got over 2 tag teams that made it into our top 3 here.
Yeah.
So good stuff for the for FTR. Number 1, they won the best tag team of the year and best tag team match of the year. And Dax Harwood was voted most underrated wrestler, and they won basically for worst booking decision for AEW, not capitalizing on their momentum on our Tru Heel Heat year-end awards, the 6th annual edition on Tru Heel Heat 206, and now they win Tru Heel Heat's Best Tag Team of 2022. Ness, thank you as always for joining me. Please let the people know where they could follow you, sir.
You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at skinny__Kravitz. Right here on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel every Tuesday, NX3, me, Romeo, Chris G. We go live watching NXT. Every Thursday, Blunt Impact on Twitch. Me and Chris G. We go live watching Impact Wrestling. Pop up on Elite Heat here and there, other watch alongs here and there, reviews, and trying to push more content for the Patreon. So subscribe for that $3.
Got some good stuff coming up on Patreon, patreon.com/Tru Heel Heat, just $3 a month. Also subscribe to Tru Heel Heat Sports, and you can follow me on the Twitter machine at Tru Heel SP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Tru Heel Heat, and check out all of our year-end lists as well as what you voted on for the 6th annual Tru Heel Heat year-end awards on the final Tru Heel Heat 206 of 2022. Also check out our top 20 best matches of 2022 voted on by the fans, friends, and contributors of the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. We also did the top 10 best promos, top 10 best major shows, top 10 best female wrestlers, and top 10 best male wrestlers. All of those videos will be dropping over the holiday weekend. So happy holidays to you and yours. Happy New Year. Thank you for supporting us here at Tru Heel Heat as we wind down 2022. So for Ness, it is me, your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3. This has been Tru Heel Heat's top 10 best tag teams of 2022. We are signing off until next time.